Hello and welcome to Team PokeMart, your one-stop shop for things that you need to stop and/or shop for. And today is what we in retail would call a slow AF day, meaning that we have no customers, no new stock to unpack, and very little to do except stand around and complain about our colleagues, usually to our colleagues. Unfortunately, I don't really have any other colleagues. I mean, apart from me, it's just upper management, and if they ever found out that I was complaining about them, well, I'd be not only fired from this job, but quite probably fired from life as we know it. So this means that to pass the time, we are going to browse the internet for some clickbait, and I think I have just the thing. Here is an article detailing the top 10 best Pokemon of 2020. And if you're not familiar with this, basically earlier in the year, the Pokemon Company, who created the world in which I currently live, held a vote to determine the Pokemon of the year, which got quite frankly a disgusting amount of votes, and has no greater criteria attached to it other than vote for who it is you like the best. So it is a popularity contest. So we are going to go through the top 10 most revered Pokemon by the masses on a wisecracking, passive-aggressive journey to discover who is the most popular of all of the Pokemans. But before we do that though, please make sure to press the subscribe button for Team PokeMart, which will allow you to stay up to date with all of our latest stock and unbeatable bargains. And this time, I'm serious, you do need to press that button before we move on. Don't be stubborn now, I can wait just as long as you can. No, I can't. I'm impatient. So starting with the 10th most popular Pokemon of 2020, we have Chonk Ghost Gengar, an entry that fills me with both great joy and great despair simultaneously. Great joy because Gengar happens to be one of my personal favorites, but great despair because he should be number one. This list is already a complete rort. But Gengar managed to secure 60,214 votes with his distinct combination of creep and charm all wrapped in a funky ghost-related package. And Gengar really was and arguably is still the ultimate ghost representative of the franchise. Show me another ghost-type Pokemon that can eclipse the glory of Gengar. I'll wait, except I won't because you can't. And even if you could, I don't care. Hashtag Team Gengang. So moving on in 9th place, we have the elegant and graceful Gardevoir, who managed to scrape a mere few hundred more votes than my Ghost Boy, and I think we all know the reason why that is. And it's because under no circumstance whatsoever should you ever Google Gardevoir, even with safe search on, because the 300 or so people who made the difference in this vote have a, how shall we say this politely, an explicit sexual interest in Gardevoir. Now I like Gardevoir, I think it has a fantastic design, it's super stylish, nice and flowy. However, with what I have incidentally and in no way actively sought out on the internet, I will never look at another Gardevoir the same way again. So please do take your number 9 spot and let's move on to a hopefully less fan art riddled Pokemon. And number 8 would be Rayquaza, who I'm hoping is less objectified than Gardevoir, but I mean, you never know. And let's not even go there, this is dangerous territory. But Rayquaza seems like a fairly predictable choice to end up here, being a green serpent thing that has lived for allegedly hundreds of millions of years. And as such, he is one of the closest things to a Pokegod that we have, not the closest, but one of. And it's very hard to fault people for liking any legendary Pokemon, given that they are designed to be pretty much the selling point of any game beyond Generation 1. Although with that in mind, surprisingly few managed to make it onto this list. In fact, Rayquaza happens to be the only one in the top 10. So we can at the very least call Rayquaza the most popular legendary Pokemon. However, there are still 7 more that trump this sneaky serpent in general. One of which is our number 7 contender, Garchomp. And I will be perfectly honest, a rarity when talking to a customer in retail work, I don't quite get Garchomp. What I do very much get is Gibble. He is absolutely adorable, and I was ever so excited to catch him and use him for the first time in my dreams. But then my cute little Gibble evolved into whatever this is. And this aesthetic was only emphasized with the eventual Garchomp. It's like a land dragon shark with jet engines on its head. It also sports superfluous spikes like a teen going through a goth phase, and it just so happens to adorn itself in all 3 primary colors, being red, blue, and yellow. It's as if Garchomp came right out of the style movement, which oddly enough only works because it's focused on creating supremely simplistic shapes, and not so much land sharks. But that is me being an old man. If you, dear customer, have a soft spot for Garchomp, as roughly 61,000 others in this poll do, then good on you. We'll be stocking some Gibbles soon enough. Actually, wait, that's like Generation 4 or something, isn't it? So I probably shouldn't promise that. Oh, we have a long way to go. But for now, the 6th most popular Pokemon of 2020 would be Sylveon. And yes, I was wondering how long it would take for an evolution to sneak its way into here. But Sylveon was not quite what I was expecting though, especially not sitting at 66,000 votes. But then again, Sylveon does have something that no other evolution can claim, which is a delightful ribbon. And as such, it kind of reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where everyone goes crazy for the new Malibu Stacy because, and I quote, she has a new hat. But here's the key difference. Sylveon does not simply have one ribbon, but instead actually has two. And that is a critical mass of ribbons that only 5 Pokemon in this world are allegedly capable of overcoming. One of which is another evolution in 5th place, being Umbreon, which happens to be my personal favorite evolution, right behind Jolteon, Flareon, Glaceon, Espeon, and Vaporeon. But at the very least, it does beat Leafeon because Leafeon, I mean, it's what sure. It's a leaf. In semi-serious though, Umbreon, whilst not my favorite evolution, is probably the one that would best sum me up. A creature lurking in the darkness, using its silent eyes to judge those who pass by it, and dream of one day moving on from its low-paying retail position. Umbreon and I certainly do have quite a lot in common. Although apparently Umbreon is capable of spraying poisonous sweat when it gets agitated. Meanwhile, all I can really do is myself when I get too agitated, which doesn't quite have the same effect on customers. Anyway, I'm revealing far too much about my own professional practice now. So moving on, we have number 4, which I must stress is a massive leap forward in votes, securing over 93,000 ticks of approval, and it is Charizard. Now Charizard is something of a sore spot for me, because whenever this glorious dragon, but not an actual dragon, comes up in general conversation, it reminds me of that time when I traded my Charizard card as a child, which may well be worth thousands of dollary-doos today, for something much less useful than a Charizard, and for argument's sake, let's call it a Chansey. But my bitter, foolish, and long since past youth aside, Charizard is kind of the face of Pokemon, as well as the wings of Pokemon and the pudgy stomach of Pokemon. Charizard is an ambassador to all of those who are not intently familiar with this mega property, far more than Pikachu in my humble retail opinion, and I think that is very well reflected in its placement here today. But I still want my Charizard back. Now in number 3 position, or place, I've forgotten what I've called it, we are ever so close to a whopping 100,000 votes, and attaining them is Mimikyu. And my heart just breaks for this particular Pokemon, who has one of the more depressing backstories of any existence in the series, which really brings into question the more sadistic tendencies of the designers. But that is not in play here today, because Mimikyu is a true and almost literal rags to riches story here. As we all know, it chose to clad itself in some sort of imitation Pikachu wear, because Pikachu is popular, and thus Mimikyu believes that it will be more likable this way. But here's a big old twist. Mimikyu, as of 2020, is the 3rd most popular Pokemon in the entire franchise, whilst Pikachu did not even make the top 10. To get to Pikachu, we need to travel ever so far down to 19th place, so if anything, Pikachu should now be wearing a Mimikyu outfit to try and boost its own self-esteem, whilst Mimikyu now acts as the canon Pikachu. You are adorable, Mimikyu, and everyone agrees. And if you don't agree, well, that doesn't matter, because you have now lost your right to humanity. Moving on though, and getting very close to that number 1, we now have number 2, because 2 comes before 1, although only in a count down. In a count up, which is what we normally do, 2 would come after 1, but that is not what we're doing here today. And whatever, it's Lucario, yay, who amassed an impressive 102,000 votes. And here we have a Pokemon who truly embodies the concept of cool, dark, and mysterious. Lucario is a strange existence that I sometimes forget is a Pokemon at all, because it carries itself with the aura of a main protagonist. In fact, he's probably the closest thing that Pokemon has come to having some sort of equitable figure to a Dragon Ball style character, what with his aura manipulation and fighty nature. And I do quite legitimately fear the day when we begin stocking Lucario or even Riolu here at Team PokeMart, because I have a distinct feeling that I won't be selling so much as it will be usurping my role and selling me. But with that said, we have now arrived at the most popular Pokemon of 2020, and let me just say that this was not even a contest. Our number 1 received about 38,000 more votes than our number 2 Lucario, and of course he would be Greninja. And who can blame you at all? Greninja was probably one of my favorite discoveries in all of Pokemon as a whole. When I picked up my copy of Y, chose Froakie because he was adorable, and watched him grow up to be the dark ninja frog assassin that he was born to be. With that said, even I am aghast at just how thoroughly Greninja has dominated this poll. All of the other contenders in the top 10 were fairly close, well, except for that big gap between Charizard and Umbreon, but this is on a completely different level. Greninja is pretty ridiculous like that, and as much as I like to crap on anything and everything because it's my only source of a feeling that I'm told is happiness in this world, not even the cold, harsh reality of retail work can leave me denying the sheer awesomeness of a Greninja. So congratulations, Mr. or in 12.5% of cases, Miss Greninja, on your well-earned win. Right, so that was the top 10 most popular Pokemon of 2020, and hopefully that long exploration has managed to pass the time a bit. So what was it? When we started it was 9 a.m. and it is now 10 a.m. Excellent. Only 11 hours and 50 minutes of the workday to go with no lunch or dinner break, so I think I'm going to need a fair few more top 10 lists to get me through this day. But please do make sure to stop by Team PokeMart and say hi, which you can do in the comments below, and if you're interested in some of our other merchandise, then please do click these tantalizing links over here, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular updates on our new stock. But for now, this has been Team PokeMart, and I'll see you next time.